So good morning, everyone, and happy financial new year. And today it's all about goal setting for, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the year 22-23. So let's get started. Like I said, today I'm going to talk a little bit about goal setting itself, but just changing it up a little bit and showing you something that I usually do when I look at my business financial goals, how I set up my actual goal setting, which is slightly different to what I have seen in the past. So when we always start with goal setting, we always start with SMART goals. It's where everyone starts. I think it's probably the most comprehensive way of setting goals, and I think it's important for everyone to understand exactly what SMART goals are and how we set SMART goals. So the S actually stands for simple, and that means keeping your goal simple, meaning keeping your goal, this is what I want, this is what I want to achieve, rather than having too many moving pieces of a goal and having it convoluted. The next one is making the goal specific. Okay, so exactly what is it that you want? Okay, going straight for the outcome that you're looking for and stating your goal specifically for exactly what it is that you want. The M stands for meaningful, and that is meaningful for you. Remember, 95% of what we do is unconscious. So why would you do something that has no meaning for you? So you have to find your why you want this goal. And the other one is measurable. You need to be able to know, what are you going to see, feel, hear when you actually have that goal? So really important, again, to consider. The A is for as if, and what that means is that you act as if you already have it. See, the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between past, present, or future. So if you act as if you've got something, the unconscious mind actually believes that you have, and actually you will start to delete, distort, and generalize everything that happens outside of yourself to actually go towards that goal. And it also needs to be something achievable. Now, I believe that we can all achieve something within, pretty much within a time period of our life. But one of the things that we do is we overestimate what we can do in 12 months and underestimate what we can do in 5 years. So have a look at your situation, have a look at your goal and say, is it achievable in the time frame that I have actually set? The R stands for realistic, meaning, is it realistic for you? Is it something that, and achievable and realistic can be interchangeable. Is it something that you can realistically do? Okay, so there are some things that we cannot realistically do. We do have physical constraints, so we need to remember that. And is it responsible? Meaning, right? Is it responsible to you in your integrity, in your values? Is it something that, doesn't clash with other areas of your life? We spoke about our other areas of your life yesterday, and we're going to chat a little bit about those again today. So is it something that is not going to take away or detract from something else that's important for you? And the T stands for timely. So you need to set time frames. You can't have completely open-ended goals, one day, next week, because the unconscious mind doesn't understand that. You need to actually set time frames and set end dates for your outcomes, and you need to be working toward, meaning that you need to work towards what you want, not away from what you don't want. Greatest example of that is debt and wealth. So when you're setting goals, you need to walk, if you're wanting wealth, you need to work towards wealth, not away from debt. Okay, again, this all comes down to the way the unconscious mind perceives things. Now, when we start to set goals, we've got to understand that we can overwhelm our unconscious mind. So only set 3 goals at a time. You can have other goals in the background. You can have other goals sitting in the background, knowing that you're wanting to do other things later on, but only 3 goals at a time. Because or else the unconscious mind will get very, very overwhelmed, and getting overwhelmed is not what you want. So 3 goals at a time, making sure that you can have, other things in the background, other goals set out for longer time periods, but currently only work on 3 goals at a time. And you'll have to decide which are your biggest 3. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay. You've got to remember to hold on to the vision. Hold on to what it is that you actually want. Really, really important. Hold on to the vision of what it is that you want, why you're setting these goals, and what is this goal or these outcomes that you're setting going to give you, because there's a bigger picture for that. And I think it's really important that we look at that bigger picture. A couple of other things that you need to do. You need to get organized, okay? You need to plan these goals out. You need to plan the steps out. You need to know exactly where you're going. As I said yesterday, if you're not organized, you are literally, shooting an arrow blindfolded. So you're not going to hit the bullseye if you're blindfolded. You need to be able to see where you're going, and you need to be able to be organized and have it well planned and thought out. Excuse me. Another thing is you need to declutter. I know this sounds crazy, but a cluttered house, a cluttered office, a cluttered desk also means a cluttered mind. Okay, so you need to declutter. You need to declutter your space, and you need to declutter your mind, which means that you need to get things on paper. You need to get organized. You need to prioritize. And in doing that, you actually declutter your mind. And so those 3 goals that you have set in a time frame, you will actually be able to work to those quicker and more effectively and efficiently. Now, let's look at the wheel of life again, because it's really important that when we set business goals, we need to go back on what we did yesterday, which was to evaluate this wheel of life. Now, for anyone who hasn't, I know we've got more people registered for today than we did yesterday. So if you did not receive a copy of yesterday's webinar, please reach out, send me an email, and I will send you a copy of that first. But we need to become aware of the areas of life that are not where we want them to be. And this is where you start. When you start setting business goals, you don't start with the business goals themselves. Unless all these areas of your life are running 100%, then you do. But that's very unlikely. So what you always need to do is you need to look at these areas of life, and you need to start here, because these areas are all interacting with one another, and you will not show up in your business, in your career, to the level that you need to if there's another area of life pulling you back. So I always say, look at the personal things first. So just a quick recap: personal development, which is all about mindset; family and friends, which is all about your family, of course, and the people that you hang around with the most; your relationship with a significant other, whether you have or haven't got one, is irrelevant. It's how you feel about it; your career and money, which is what we're working on today; your health and fitness, which is so important, because if you're not well, you're not going to show up in your career or your business 100%. And your spiritual development as well. Okay, your mindfulness, your ability to understand that there is more to you than what you see. Okay, so we need to have a look at these first, and you need to have a look at which one of these is the most unresourceful for you, and you start there in setting your goals. And you can choose, and some people do this occasionally, to actually, rather than look at their actual business goals, they actually, if they're falling behind on a few areas of life here, and remember I said 3 goals at a time, they tend to stick to one of these areas first, because if you improve some of these areas, it can actually improve your business anyway without you having to even go into the business part of it. But I highly recommend that when you set your goals, that you do look at least at one of these areas to be constantly looking at, improving, evaluating, as well as your business goals. So the other 2 can be business if you wish, but one of them should be in these areas, because there will always be something that you can always improve. And especially when it comes to mindset and personal development, if you want to go the next level in your business, you have to improve your mindset, because the current mindset that you have right now has brought you to where you are right now. So the only way you're going to be able to go that next step in your business is that you need to go that next step in your personal development as well. And they go hand in hand. And again, this is something that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to business coaching or business strategy. But you've got to understand that the conscious sum, all right, or the sum total of both your conscious and unconscious thoughts have brought you to where you are today. So in order to go that next step, in order to do more in your business, you need to change that mindset straight away. Up the mindset, up the achievement in your business. Because where you are right now is where your mindset has actually brought you, and where everything in this wheel of life has actually brought you to this point. So let's actually have a look at financial and business goals. Okay, we're all in business to make money, so we need to have a look at projected income that you need in your business. Now, again, people begin to look at this by what do they want in their business, but I'm going to ask you to think about this a little bit different. The reason most of us have gotten into business is to make an income that we can actually take home and use. We don't normally, I mean, I could be wrong, but from what I know from most people is that we don't start a business to just accumulate business wealth inside the business. We accumulate business wealth for us, that we then take that wealth, that profit out, and we do something with it. So if that's the case, where you need to start before you even begin to create a projection of your income needed in your business, you need to start in your personal life first. What income do you want, need, or whatever you want to think, how you want to say it? I usually say go beyond the need, make it a want. Okay, what income do you want your business to supply you with? And you need to start there. So you need to actually start with your personal finances first, not your business finances. Because you need to know what you want to take from this business. That's why you're in business in the first place. If you weren't worried about your take-home money or the ability to create some financial freedom, you wouldn't be in business. You would be working as an employee in a job and just getting whatever the wage is there. So start with your personal finances first. What do you want? So you need to look at things like your household expenses. You need to look at things as what it costs you for food, or if you want to go out. You need to look at things like what holidays do you want? Okay, people think about these things, right, second. But I'm asking you to think about these things first, not second. Okay, what do you want? What do you want? You know, what social events do you want to be able to attend? What savings do you want? Once you've actually established the profit that you want your business to give you, then we start working backwards. then you can start saying, well, if this is the money I want to take home, this is what I want the business to pay me. Almost like make yourself an expense of this business, then work backwards. Then you need to work out your business expenses. And the business expenses need to include you. And then that will give you a figure. If you work backwards, that will give you a figure of how much income you need to make in your business to be able to pay all your running costs and you. And like I said, most people go into business and all they do is work on creating business income without thinking about themselves first. You need to think about yourself first. Why would you put this is why people get overwhelmed and burn out. Why would you put so much effort into running your own business if you're not going to get rewarded for it? I can tell you now, we want rewards. The unconscious mind wants us to have rewards. We work for rewards. We're a society of instant gratification. Now, I know with business, it's not always instant gratification, but that is how we work. So why would you show up in your business to the level that you should to make this successful if you're not going to take home a reward? So you first. What is it that you need? Bottom line, but what do you want? So don't just put in what you need, because what will happen is that's all you'll achieve. What do you want? Shoot high here. Do you want a holiday every year? Where do you want to go on those holidays? I mean, if you've got a specific holiday in mind, it's even better. You can cost it out and work out exactly what it's going to cost you. So remember, start with you, not the business. Work backwards, and then we start looking at the income that we need to come in to the business so that we can then keep ourselves satisfied or rewarded, so that we can really work towards showing up in our business. And I think this is one of the reasons. I actually don't think I'm going to actually go out there on a limb and say, I know that this is one of the reasons why people don't get ahead in their business. They haven't defined this part of their business well enough. And so everything else, then there's no meaning as to why you're doing it. Whereas if you find that external why outside of that business, I know we've all got whys inside our business as well, but this is even bigger than that. Once you've done that, you need to decide, what are you going to offer? What's your product? What are you going to do? Are you going to do retreats, workshops, one-to-one sessions, programs, trainings? And you can do all or one of these. It's completely up to you. But you need to sit down and work out, where is your money going to come in from? Now, I know this takes a lot of time, but it's very well worth the effort, because you need to work out, where is your money coming from? You need to price everything. You need to know exactly how much you're going to make on all of these, because you need to keep working backwards. Let's say that you're only going to run one-to-one sessions for 12 months. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to do anything else. You don't have to do everything else. And you work out that you need a profit of, say, $50,000. I'm just going to throw some figures out there. $50,000 for the year, that's what you need. That's what you need to live. That's what you want to take home. And your expenses, let's say, are going to be $50,000 for the year. So you need to know, what are you charging per one-to-one sessions with people, and how many of those are you going to need to make that $100,000? And of course, then there's bigger things than that, because then we need to look at, and we're going to have a look a little bit in a moment at, the lead generation you're going to need for that. But you need to work out exactly what you're going to do in the 12 months. How are you going to make this income? What are you going to offer? And like I said, you can do all of these or you can do one. And I highly recommend that if you're brand new, you're a brand new company. The one thing I didn't put in on here too was actually products. You can have products as well. I highly recommend that you just focus on one. Just focus on one. When you've got that down pat, go to the next one. Okay? So what is it that you're going to offer? And how much of these, what's the price, and how much of these do you need to sell to get the income that you need? And this is what I just spoke about, okay? So then you need to put down, and I always do it on an Excel spreadsheet, is whatever the price is of what you're going to offer, you need to work out where the money's coming from. This is why I say if you've only just started in a business, you might just want to work on one offering first. But I offer many things. I have products, I have workshops, I have retreats, I have trainings. So what I do is I actually work out how much money I want from each of these offerings, and then it gives me an idea of how many clients I need in each one as a minimum. So let's say that my, projected income for the year is going to be $25,550, which is what this adds up into. And my one-on-one programs are going to cost people $2,000. So to make the $20,000 that I want, I need 10 clients. Let's say I'm going to run a retreat, and the retreat's going to cost my clients $500, and I want to make $5,000 from that. Okay, that's $5,000 from the retreat as part of my income projection. So I'm going to need 10 clients to come to the retreat. And another one is, let's say I run a workshop for $55, and I'm projecting that I'm going to make $550 from that workshop. Again, I need 10 clients. So this is something that you need to work out for yourself. So this does take a little bit of time. If you've never done this, of course, the first time you do this is going to take time. But once you've done this year after year after year, it's pretty quick and fast to do. So I have my coaching business and I have my training business, and I do these separately. I've worked out what I want personally, and I know what I want from each business. And then I work backwards and work out how many clients I need to come through each of my trainings or programs or retreats or workshops or whatever it is that I'm doing. Now, this is a minimum. Okay, one of the things that I've always had trouble with is budgets, and also, meeting those budgets or meeting KPIs. I always say that's my minimum. A KPI for me is always a minimum, and I always try and go above the KPI. I don't go, 10 clients have signed up for my workshop, I'm going to stop now. No, that's something that I've never done in all my time that I was working as in retail or anything like that. A KPI for me is my minimum. Now, if you train your unconscious mind to think like that, it will just keep going. In actual fact, when I hit my minimum, I actually tend to spark up and go even harder because I want to see how high above that minimum I can go. So this has got to be a minimum, not the maximum. A little bit different thinking in business than what most people do. And again, we have to look at the funnel. How are you going to get these clients? Again, I'm going to refer back to yesterday's webinar. You need to know your metrics, because if this isn't happening, if you're not hitting these income goals, you need to figure out, where is this falling apart? And is it in your top lead generation, in your freebies or workshops or things that you're creating for lead generation? Is it your medium offers? Or is it your high level offers? Where are you falling apart in here? And we've got to remember that most of us follow the 10% rule. Okay, you can have a higher conversion than 10%, but as a minimum, we usually have to have 100 people in the top of our funnel where they get a freebie, which could be an ebook, or they could be seeing content on your social media, or you could be, doing free webinars or free talks or anything like that. So usually you have to get in front of 100 people, and then they move down into a small paid offer from you, or you nurture them, they get to know you really, really well to convert one person into a high level offer. So always think like that. So if you need 10 people, okay, into a $2,000 program, which is a high level offer, you're going to have to talk to about 1,000 people. These figures, these percentages vary according to a lot of different things, okay? They will vary according to your prices, number one, your niche, your target market, number two, and also your selling skills, number three. But roughly, as an industry average, we usually say we work on 10%. So you have to remember that. So if you're wanting one person into a high ticket item, and high ticket we usually say above $1,000, you need to get that in front of at least, you need to somehow get lead generation of about 100 people. I know this sounds like a lot, but there are easy ways to do that. And as I mentioned, it's free webinars, ebooks, and all those sorts of things. So we work backwards. Always working backwards. So here are just the steps of what you need to do. As I just said, you need to work backwards. This cannot be done from here to there. It has to be from over there backwards. Where do I want to end up? You start with the outcome that you want. And in fact, you need to then create a goal. Now, the goals, and this is really important to understand. A goal is not your outcome. A goal is the little incremental steps that you set along the way. When we looked at this at the beginning of this morning, the outcome, if you go back and have a think about it, is what you want your business to do for you. That's the outcome. And we're creating the goals, right? The little incremental steps along the way to get to that outcome. So a little bit of a different distinction there, but really important to understand. Because people always set their goals thinking that the goal is actually the outcome. It's a small step towards an outcome of a bigger why you're doing this. So create all your goals, your steps, or your action plans that you need to get there. Know your conversion rate. So important at every level of your funnel. If you don't know this, you need to set up steps to know this. How do you know what to fix if you don't know where it's broken? Okay, if you turn on a tap and water is not coming out of the tap, the plumber needs to look at the whole plumbing system. What is it? Is the tap faulty? Is there a blockage in the pipe? Or is there no water coming from your water meter? How do you know what to fix if you don't know where the problem is? So you must have metrics at every level of your business. Plan to connect with the number of people needed. So in other words, if you want one person to come into a high-level one-to-one program, you need to be able to think about how do you go one step above that, how do you nurture that person, and how do you find the leads? And you need to connect to the percentage of leads that you need to funnel them down. Okay, so it's not one person, I just need one lead, I'm going to have one sale. Chances are that you will need 100 leads for one sale. Again, that will depend directly on what it is that you're selling. And these conversion rates will change depending on, as I said, price. Price is a big factor. The higher the end product that you need, the more leads you will need. The smaller the end product, the less leads that you will need. That's just because money is risk to people. Break down your connections that you need. Break down all your goals yearly, which is what we're doing now, but it doesn't stop there. We don't have, one of the reasons why people get so overwhelmed is that they have a look at the whole picture at once. Oh my God, I need to make, $250,000 this year. That is very overwhelming. But if you start to break that down into monthly goals, rather than looking at it as the whole year, right? You break it down into a monthly target of what you need every month, and then what you need every week, and then what you need every day, not just money-wise, but also connection-wise. It's not that hard. But the reason why people get so overwhelmed is that they look at the whole year at once, and it's like, oh my God, how am I going to get there? Okay, so if you have a look at this, we've got 365 days in the year. If you connect to one person, one potential lead a day, that's 365 leads. Now that's sounding a lot better, doesn't it? Rather than saying, oh, I need to connect to 365 people. One person per day, and you focus on that one per day. It becomes a lot easier to handle. Okay, so work backwards and break everything down. As I said, this is very simple and not all these convoluted other things that you need to do, but basically this is how I evaluate what I have to do all the time. I don't get into too many big convoluted discussions or thoughts about what is it that I have to do. I set this goal for my 12 months. And I don't set beyond 12 months. That's another thing that I don't do. I do know what I want to achieve in the next 3, 5, and 10 years, 100%, but it's in the back of my mind. I only focus on what's in front of me right now. I know what my end goal is. I know what my end outcome is. And I mean, one of the things I want to do is I have a massive end outcome for the next 3 years because I hit a milestone birthday. But I don't worry about that. I worry about what I have to do this year to get there. Then I worry about what I have to do this month to get to the end of this year's goal. Then I worry about what I have to do this week to get to the end of the month goal. And then I worry about what I have to do today to get to the end of this week's goals. That's how I work with them. I sit in the now. Because if I had to think about what I want to do in 3 years, it would just, I get heart palpitations if I start to even really think about that big outcome that I have. So I don't think about that. I will work backwards, and this is what I need this year. This is what I need next year. This is what I need in that third year. They can be set aside. What do I need to do now? And then I just work on that, and it becomes less stressful, less overwhelming. And of course, you know what? If you don't hit those targets one week, it's not the end of the world. You just keep going every single week. And you don't knock yourself about. You just go, okay, you go back to what we did yesterday at the end of every week, and you go, what worked, what didn't, what do I need to change? What happened last week? Of course, if you have a great week, then you just want to continue it. But if you don't hit your goals, you go back, you evaluate on a weekly basis. I do this, and I think what worked, what didn't work, and then I tweak and pivot. basically that's it. Guys, before I stop the recording, does anyone have any questions that they're happy to share? If not, I'll stop the recording, and if you want to ask any questions that won't be recorded, that's also okay. No? All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for all of those that have registered. Just a reminder, 8:30 for the next 90 days, I'm going to show you a little bit about what it is that I actually do as a business coach, because I do believe that I have a very, very unique program. And one of the things that someone asked me the other day was, what kind of business coach are you? And I pretty much turned around and said, I'm a holistic business coach. What that means is I look at the whole person, not just their business. And that's what I think these webinars were definitely all about. So if you're wanting more, you can find me on YouTube. I have a Facebook page and a Facebook group and a Facebook profile. You can also find me now on TikTok, which is something that I've started doing, which can be a lot of fun. LinkedIn, Instagram, and a podcast, Business Secrets for Changemakers. I'd love to have you follow me on any of these channels to know a little bit more about what it is that I do. If anyone has any questions, please reach out. I'd love to answer your questions. And again, thank you for registering. And thank you for all the people that did show up to both webinars. Great to have you here. If you would like yesterday's webinar, which is all about evaluating and awareness of what has happened in your past year, please reach out and we can give you the link to that. Thanks for being here, guys. I look forward to seeing you, a lot of you, every single morning at 8:30. Definitely 100% on Instagram and Facebook Live. We will then share everything to some of the other channels a little bit later on in the day. Thank you, guys.